So this is day 3 of 28 songs later. For anyone new tuning in, that's a project where I'm going to make 28 songs in 28 days, a song for every day in the month of February. Day 3 not really that exciting. There's nothing really too drastic or bombastic about the song. Really just kind of shuffle, a nice kind of really old school sawtooth synth. Talk about a couple of VSTs. I've actually talked about VSTs quite a lot recently. I'd just like to say that one thing you should avoid doing, this pretty much goes for everything to do with music, like you should impose limitations on yourself. So look at what you have and just try and work with that. And that's kind of a lot of it's kind of a big ideology in the lo-fi scene, especially lo-fi electronic music, where people, like chip tunes for example, where people impose a large amount of limitations on themselves to improve their ability to learn and their ability to create, because you're going to be more creative the less you have, surprisingly, because you've got to make more with less. So like if you don't think to yourself like I've got to buy this, I've got to buy that. Like really, I think pretty much all you really need to make music is an internet connection and a set of headphones. That's pretty much it. A set of decent headphones really. If you are wanting to make nicely produced music, really you could make it with anything. That's electronic music. For anything else, just whatever. Like just use whatever you have. Old trackers, for example, they were like you had a very small amount of channels. For example, on the Game Boy, which is a tracker I might show off soon, you've got 4 channels, and 2 of those are pulse channels. One of them's a wave channel, which is technically the most powerful channel, but usually ends up sounding the worst. And the 4th is a noise channel. It can only produce white noise. So like you can shape it and you can do stuff to it, but it's just white noise. So you've got to make music with just that. So I mean, you've got to make drums out of noise. You've got to make kick drums out of pulse waves, and it's interesting. So really, never. What I'm saying about this, even though I've talked about VSTs quite a lot, is don't go on the internet and download 10,000 VSTs. There's another hand here. Yeah, lots of VSTs. Don't download lots of VSTs. It's a really bad idea because you'll just kind of get lost. You'll get this tendency to open up VSTs and just go like, have a quick flick around at all the buttons, have a look at the presets, and then if you don't like the sound of it within about 30 seconds, you'll just quit. Which is pretty much a natural way to review things on the internet. I mean, like if you download a lot of stuff, you're going to just, like, I mean, there's a lot of free VSTs. I'm not even talking about illegally downloading VSTs, which of course nobody does. But you just don't want to give yourself too much, or else you're just going to give something no time whatsoever, and you won't learn how to use it. And I mean, some really small free VSTs on the internet are very, very good, very, very powerful. And if you fiddle with them just enough, you can actually end up creating a cool sound. And really, downloading tons and tons of VSTs is going to get you nowhere. You're just going to get lost. So really work with what you have. Try and avoid downloading things. Very rarely I go on like a download spree, and I will be very brutal. I will look at the VSTs, and if I see the exact same set of knobs that I've seen in every other VST, I'm going to be like, look, I don't want this. There's no point in me looking at it. It's just I already have stuff like that. There's no point in me having a second one, and I just move that into a folder called shit VSTs. I don't really delete them in case later on I want to re-examine them, but that very rarely happens. If I need disk space, I just delete the folder. So I'm going to go to the song now. As I said, there's really not much to say. It's going to be quite a short video. I like the song. I don't think it's very impressive. It's not something, it's not like a single, you know what I mean? It's not something you're going to really stick in your mind, but I do like it. It's kind of got a nice bunch of themes that I like, so I'll have a look at that. While I remember where the things on YouTube are, from all videos now, if you look down around here, there's going to be a SoundCloud link to all the songs. I've tried to put that in a comment, an annotation, but I'm new to this YouTube thing, so I wasn't really aware that you couldn't put links to non-YouTube things in annotations, which are up here. So now I've just changed it to say that the SoundCloud link is down here, so if you click down here, you'll see the SoundCloud link and gestures. Okay, so here we are at the song. I'd just like to point out one thing. The software I use for recording audio, pretty much anything to do with post-processing after Ableton, basically like actually converting the file simply and stuff like that, just a really handy alternative to Audacity. It's called Goldwave, and I want to plug this because it's really good. I've been using it for years and years and years, and I just prefer it to Audacity. It's just quite nice. You can see I'm actually using it right now to record my audio. So consider having a look at this. It's like a trial version, quote unquote, but it doesn't really affect anything. I think you can only do like 100 actions before you have to close it, but really you never do that many and stuff like that anyway. So I'm going to move on to the song now. Cool. So really the song started out with this. It was just this A little bit of melody I played on my synth here. Yeah, but obviously it's it's one of the first times I've used operator. That was the thing I was trying to do here, was to learn. As I was talking about limiting myself, I was trying to learn, rather than just using a VST and trying to find a sound I like, I was trying to learn the synths that come with Ableton, because I very rarely use operator and I know it's quite powerful. So I had to fiddle around with this, and I tried to create a simple piano sound, which is what I ended up with. And I ended up with this line that I played on my MIDI keyboard. Yeah, so basically I just kind of took it from there. From then on, I kind of duplicated that, and I had a higher attack, no release kind of thing that was like this, with a lot of delay on it. To get this, you probably can't even hear that, this kind of plinky thing. It's what the song stands out with, actually, if you just go listen to the song right now on SoundCloud. So from then on I was like, what am I going to do? And I wanted to have drums that were kind of a shuffle. I didn't really want it to be kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4/4 stuff. I wanted some kind of shuffle. So the drums I came up with were kind of like half-time drum bass kind of style drum. And then it continues really on from there. As usual, I did the kick and snare, and then I added all the hats afterwards. And then I moved stuff around. This is actually, what I did really was, I had the kick and snare, and I had those laid out. But then when I added the hi-hats and the little bits of percussion, I wanted to move around the kicks and snares a bit to kind of give it more of a fluid feel, so I messed around with them afterwards. But yeah, really, like, as I said before, I really like, I'm not sure if this is the right way or anything, but I really like just setting out kicks and snares as the kind of structure to your song before you go and do any hi-hats or try and do any nice little fills or drum editing. Drums again, same trick as yesterday, as day 2 with the snare drums, 3-layered snare drums. I think the snare sounds better, actually. It's got a nicer sound to it. I'm not really going to try and characterize it. The bass drum is quite nice. Again, it's just a sample with some EQ. So that's pretty much that. So then I needed, obviously that couldn't be the song, so there's a bass line in the background. It's kind of this plucked bass, but that's a free VST called Claw, which I really like. I've been using it for a long time. It's ridiculously simple. Like, this is it. You can't do anything else with it. What you see right there is everything. And it's really nice. You can get some kind of nice sounds out of it. It does sound very nice. I like it. So yeah. Then the key part of the song was this synth, which again is a free VST I've had for a while. And this one I really like. It's a monophonic synth. And it really, again, like, you find the synths I like are the ones that really don't have that much to them. And this one doesn't really have that much to it. You have 2 waveforms, saw and pulse, right? You have a boost, which I presume is some kind of overdrive, volume, and then you have LFO, envelope, stuff like that, like basic stuff, right? And I got this nice kind of acid sound out of it, like, which is this. What I did then is, that sounded kind of too basic, and I was sat there, I only added this at the end of the song, so I was like, I really need something. So I literally cloned it, and I added some distortion, and my distortion VST. It's called Cyanide. Again, it's free. Again, I like it because it's the simplest distortion VST I've ever found, and I'm actually just using a preset right now. I pretty much only use the presets on it. I don't really need to fiddle with it. The amount of presets are perfectly great. And what I did is then I filtered out the high ends of it and used that for bass, so the bass notes seem more amplified now. So it's like, so that kind of takes care of the bass. So it adds more weight to the bass notes on this synth, which is kind of the lead. And then I programmed the notes into this kind of weird shuffle way, and really this is kind of a lot of trial and error. I didn't play these live, I programmed these, so I wanted the kind of, the kind of breaking shuffle to follow the beat, obviously. I say. Anyway, from then on, really, there's not much else to it. There's a bit of live MIDI keyboard that I played, which is again that VST I talked about in day 2, Peach. And I literally just played this along with the song, recorded it. I haven't quantized it or anything, I just played it. Actually, no, sorry, I have quantized this. I've quantized the first bit. I quantized the first bit just because whatever I do, whenever I record anything, right, it's not, well, I'm going to say it's not because I'm bad, like I can play stuff, but more because it gives you a different a different feel. So it's really, you're just clicking a button and you're seeing the results you get, and you might like that instead. So I quantized this, and I like that better. So because originally it was like and like accidentally it quantized it to quantizing it snaps it to the nearest thing on the grid. It quantized it in a way that I wasn't expecting, and I actually preferred it, so I just kept it. I mean, for the sake of clicking a button, you can just test it out. You know, that's really the whole thing about making electronic music, is just screwing around with the program, not being afraid to just mess around with things. And of course, being good at it is understanding when something is bad. The drums then, they actually changed half of these. Something got a kind of drum and bass beat, because I was still on the drum and bass vibe from day 2. So after this break, there's so they're kind of, really that's pretty much it. The bass line changes, goes into this kind of rising, and then there's some noise sweeps between the breaks to just add a bit of glue stuff together, really. And that's pretty much the whole song. On the out, the peach plays the same line as the piano, and you get this nice airy thing, and that's pretty much it. So I'm basically done with the video. I'm gonna upload all this stuff now. So cool, see you in day 4. Okay, so here we are at the song. I'd just like to point out one thing. The software I use for recording audio, pretty much anything to do with post-processing after Ableton,